Summer Equals IPL, and we're here to preview the Lucknow Super Giants. Now, this is, of course, a new franchisee that just came into the IPL in the previous season. They, of course, had a brilliant start to their IPL campaign. They ended up finishing fourth in the end, losing out to RCB in the eliminator. Let's talk about what expectations we have for LSG, how they performed last time out, their key players, probable 11s, and all of that with Vansh and Adi. Vansh, how do you think LSG fared last time out? What do you think their expectations are moving into this new season?
Yeah, so Lucknow, of course, it was their first year last year, and I think that they did relatively well in terms of reaching the playoffs. I think the team did lack experience in the middle order when it came to someone before Stoinis, finishing before or after Stoinis, and now they have filled that with Puran in the auction.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they would be better off this year, and I have high expectations of them to reach the playoffs. Uh, and I hope that they do reach the playoffs.
Adi, are you in agreement with Vansh in terms of LSG finishing in the playoffs or better than last time out?
I mean, they really had a good season the first season last year. I mean, especially, for a new team, a new franchise. I mean, both the teams did well. They came fourth basically last year. So anything above fourth is always going to be tough, especially when you look at this year. It's going to be a home and away format
Yeah.
again. It's back to the normal, that traveling, getting used to your home ground, getting used to away ground, getting used to the crowd. I feel like it's going to be tough. It's going to be different. And this is literally going to be the actual, the IPL is what they're going to face, not the so-called lockdown IPL which they played last
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
I really think it's going to be a different atmosphere for them to get used to. I mean,
Yeah.
when you look at the bowling lineup, they have pretty young players who came and bursted into the scene during, the so-called lockdown IPL. So it's going to be a new experience for them. It's going to be tough. I really don't think they're going to come in the top four. But if they do, I mean, good for them, kudos for them, because this is going to be the actual IPL experience. But yeah, it's only time will tell. But with the whole traveling, the new home stadium, which they themselves have not played and established themselves in the new Lucknow Stadium. So it's just time. We have to see what's going to happen. I just don't expect them to be in the top four.
Yeah. We often say that IPL teams have certain pillars in every team, right? Like, for example, RCP for a long time were carried on the shoulders of AB, Virat, and Gale, and we often have these mainstay players who are extremely important for IPL sides. One for you, who are these three players you're looking at and saying, you know what, they definitely have to have a good season for LSG to do well?
Yeah. So, firstly, of course, KL Rahul. I think he's one of the best batsmen in the world, even right now. Regardless of form, I think that just the technique and the IPL seasons that he's always had, I would expect him to just do like have a better season, even better than the Punjab season, where he went on like a run feast. So I hope he does have a season. So one like that, and one of the three would be KL Rahul. Second, I think they would be dependent on Mark Wood. Mark Wood,
Mhm.
with the pace that he just has, I think just rattles with batsmen. So I think Mark Wood would be one of the most important players for Lucknow this year. And third would again, it's Ravi Bishnoi for me.
Yeah,
It's just the leg
yeah.
spin. Any leg spinner in any team is really important, especially in the T20 format. And I just hope that these three can perform to the best of their abilities, and then therefore they can qualify for the playoffs. I don't see them winning the IPL, but I do see them doing really well this IPL. Just these three players I feel are really important, and then the other squad players like Stoinis and Puran can chip in with contributions. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to KL Rahul because I think that the the form that he is in, the pressure that he has come under, I would expect him to have a really good IPL season.
Adi, do you differ from Vanch's picks at all? And
I
is there
mean,
anything that you want to say?
yeah, I mean, I agree with, Bishnoi and Wood being the so-called marquee ballers, and they'll have to carry
Yeah.
because, like, when it comes to spinning option, Bishnoi is going to be the main man for them. I don't think Krunal Pandya is going to be as effective as
Yeah.
he used to at a point of time with Mumbai.
Right. Right.
But also with Mark Wood, him being, the so-called seasoned bowler, he's had good experience now. He's basically a T20 World Cup winner. So he's going to be the main fast bowler. When it comes to the batting, again, as one said, KL Rahul, but I look at KL Rahul and Dickov as one together because
Okay.
those two are the one who get that stability and partnership. And generally last year also, I mean, they were literally the second and third highest runs getter in the orange cap. So it just shows
Yeah.
that how much they carry their batting. When they bat together, they bat really well. They built a very solid platform for the as as their themselves as a partnership and for the team.
Right.
So when I look at the batting lineup, I just feel like I have to Jordan both Rahul and De Kock as one rather than them being separate individuals.
Yeah. I think I agree with Adi in terms of De Kock and Rahul being one. I think a lot is dependent on the opening partnership that these guys give LSG in every game. I also agree in terms of Ravi Bishnoi being their X Factor bowler. Of course, the leggy. I think he's the most important bowler in their setup. He is someone who comes closest to being an X Factor bowler for LSG. I just do not see any X Factor bowler apart from him. And a quick mention for Stoinis as well. I think he's going to play an important role. He's become so important to this Australian side right now. He also bowls um, in the beginning of games nowadays. He bowls across the 50 overs, across the 20 overs. So the way Rahul is going to utilize Stoinis is going to be really interesting to see. And he's someone that I'm also looking forward to watch. We also had a mini auction just before, um, just a few months prior, and there were some interesting buys for LSG. I'll just name a few. Puran Sams came in. We had Amit Mishra coming in. We had, yeah, the likes of Mark Wood coming in, Unatkat coming in. Vansh, who is your standout pick for LSG in terms of the auction?
For me, I would say Puran. Again,
Okay.
Puran, just the price tag that they paid for him, he has a huge role to play. We have seen over the years in the IPL. I don't think he's really performed for any of the franchises that he's played for. Let it be Punjab or SRH. He had a really bad season with SRH, and I don't think there has been any expectations of Puran laid off from any of the cricketing experts. I don't think any of them had them even in their like top 10 buys in the IPL, and then he just came this IPL in the mini auction. You know that some players usually have an inflated price because of the like the demand of like there basically not a lot of options that you have in the mini auction. So let alone the inflated price, I think Puran plays a really important role in terms of anchoring the innings and finishing in the innings. He does help Stoinis in just the contributions that Ayush Badoni had last year. He would play a very similar role in finishing off games, but
Mhm.
just the 16 crore price tag that he has, I think the Lucknow management, the whole idea of him in the team is just is not only finishing off games, but it is also anchoring games. And I
Right.
have not usually seen Puran do that. I would want him to finish off games more than anchoring games because I just feel like that is more of his game. But again, the management has is trusting his abilities in anchoring the innings, and I let's see what happens.
Adi, what about for you? Who do you think is the best buy for LSG this auction?
I mean, as one said, Puran went for a huge price tag. It
Yeah.
was 16 crores. I mean, once you're paying almost 16 crores to a player, you always expect him to come and deliver immediately. I mean, I don't think he's going to get that settling period where, he's going to they're going to be patient with him. You just can't in the IPL. You saw last year also, like with Hyderabad, like there was no time given for him. He just had to go and play there, and that's how it's going to be even this year. I expect him to come and perform finally because I feel like this is finally a team where he has stability. When you look at the opening players, they have KL Rahul and De Kock, so I feel like he's always going to have that stability, to come in and perform than before, where he was almost the player who had to come and play. So I do expect him to step up his game in that sense, because when you're going for such a huge price tag,
Yeah,
I mean anyone will expect him to, come and perform. So yeah, I mean when it comes to that, again, last year we saw that after the first two players got out, they really didn't have any stability in the middle order.
yeah,
And now Pooran can come in and make it his own, where he's the next so-called pillar and who can continue and push the innings and help LSG score like big totals or help them chase the games. So yeah, like again, Pooran is the player, especially in the IPL format.
yeah. I think I agree with you guys in terms of their auction pick. It has to be Nicholas Puran. Huge price tag. He's coming in with a lot of reputation. Also, has not performed previously in the IPL. Hopefully, ends up having a really good season with LSG, and he does become an IPL player of sorts. Um, okay, let's quickly move on to discussing what would define LSG season. Is there a particular player? Is there a particular facet of this LSG team that will define their season? Any particular player or
Um,
facet for you?
yeah, I think it's a particular player for me.
Hmm.
I again come back to KL Rahul. It's
Hmm.
just I'm not looking at the captaincy point of view, but I think in terms of batting, in terms of run scoring, he has been the top run scorer in IPL over the years. He's always been in the race for the orange cap. So I think he just has to perform to his abilities that he has. He's always performed in the IPL, I think. So it's not
Yeah,
a problem of him performing in the IPL. I'm sure he's going to perform in the IPL. It's just the contributions that he makes it needs to be it needs to be for a winning cause. Like it's
yeah,
just converting those runs for chasing down targets, for getting a huge total, and then just contributing to the win should will probably define their season, because KL Rahul, he's one of the most important players for the franchise. So I hope to see like him performing well, and I know and I have a feeling that he will be performing well this year.
I mean, he's looked very shaky for the national side. Adi, do you want to add on to what just said about KL Rahul? Do you think KL Rahul will define LSG season? Mute, mute.
I'm sorry. As one said, I mean, with that question, I don't really think Kerala is going to be the so-called defining player, which makes a difference in the so-called actual games that matter, your knockouts, eliminators, finals. I mean, it's been a trend. It's not just a sudden thing. We've all seen it as a trend over time. Even for when you look at last year, I mean, when it really mattered in the eliminator, he really couldn't take them out. I mean, he scored 75 odd runs last year against RCB in the eliminator, but he really couldn't take them to the finish line. Which generally, when you look at the top players like Kohli and your MS Dhoni's, they've done that before, and that's always helped, the teams push themselves to the finals. Kerala has never done that. I mean, when you look at his just stats over the past two seasons in the IPL for Punjab and LSG, he's been basically coming in top three in the orange cap in the regular season. So you can see he always plays well, performs well in the so-called, your normal season where like he scored about 600 runs plus 600 plus runs in the past two seasons. So as a batsman, we can see him. We know his talent. We've seen him. He's proved over and over in the IPL. That's why he's been given the responsibility of being the captain of a new franchise. But in the so-called defining moments, over time, it's not just this. Even in the T20 World Cup, you just see that he's just going to end up. He just has the so-called bottle gene. Well, whenever it matters, he's just never going to perform. He's never going to be that player. And I just think that it's going to be a, it's going to be a thing forever. And I really don't think so-called defining player, which will, carry to them for the
Um,
finals and win them.
yeah. Yeah, makes sense. But I think we've seen KL Rahul over the years. He's always had this one year where he has a rough patch. I think he does. There was one year where he wasn't doing well, and then a lot of the current cricketers in this Indian setup, they helped him out. Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, all of them got him out through that phase. And he went to England and he performed really well in that series, the Test series, where he was India's probably most important player in that Test series. I think he's going through a same phase again. He's not been performing well for India, but I think it's just that extra kick that he gets in the IPL, captaining a franchise. He loves playing in India. He loves playing the IPL, and I just hope that he does replicate his IPL performances. He hasn't been in form, but I think that just provides an extra push for him to performing better for LSG.
We'll soon find out whether Rahul does define LSG season. Um, Adi, what are you looking at in terms of facets that will define LSG season?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, when I want to predict LSG, I don't think they're going to come in the top four. And when you don't come in the top four, I don't think it really matters because without joining the playoffs, you're basically it really doesn't matter your season. So when I look at the team, I really look at the bowling lineup. I don't think it's strong enough, for them to push to that top four playoffs. Because as I said, they don't really have that experience. And I mean, over time, you've seen Unarkar and Avesh Khan always been, even though they're pretty good, solid players, when it comes to those moments in the death overs, especially Unarkar, it's been
Yeah,
over time, we've seen that he's always been very expensive and not able to control those death overs. And I'm pretty sure that's what his job will be this season. And with Avesh Khan again, he's another player who's just gone for expensive runs over time. So I just don't really look into their bowling lineup. I mean, it just doesn't scare me. I mean, they don't really look like they have a lot of wickets in it. And in T20, even if they're expensive, wickets really matter. I
yeah,
just think they're going to struggle to get those wickets, which is almost season defining for any good T20 side to have. And I just don't think that's going to be it's going to be tough when you look at that. Like, I just don't expect them to make that push for the top four because that's
yeah.
generally
I
their weakness.
agree with everything you said. I think a lot of their season will come down to their bowling, and if and a lot of it is on Ravi Bishnoi's shoulders. I feel if he has a really stellar season, you can probably shout out for LSG finishing in the top four. Again, they're again going to be very reliant on Mark Wood to deliver with the pace attack that they have, and it just seems a little short in terms of them making it to the top four. Again, it just a lot of it is down to how their bowling unit performs, and if they don't perform, I just don't see them making the top four. Yeah. Yeah, Vansh.
Yeah, just in terms of the bowling attack, of course, we know that Mohsin Khan has been ruled out for a
Yeah, yeah.
majority of the
Huge
IPL,
miss,
if not
huge
the
miss.
entire IPL. He's a
Yeah,
huge miss, and I think Mark Wood and Avesh Khan. Mark Wood, of course, is playing for the first time for LSG,
yeah,
and uh, yeah, so he's a really good buy in terms of pace because I don't think the team had a lot of like foreign experience. They played Chamira last year, but Marco is just this frontline fast bowler who can provide you with pace. He can get you wickets in any stage of the game. So Marco and Avesh opening the bowling looks really good actually for me, and just the responsibility of finishing the innings for Jaydev Unadkat is something that can be a little dicey in some of the games.
yeah,
But
yeah,
they again have four overs of Bishnoi. I think they used Bishnoi towards the ending of the innings last year too. So I think they would probably go and use the same idea this year too. And with the 8 overs of not entirely 8 overs, but you have your power play sorted in terms of Markur and Avish Khan opening the bowling because both of them are fast. They just bowl like they bowl quick, and that's what in the power play that would probably help them because you need wickets in the power play. Markur provides you with that. Avish Khan, half of his overs can be used in the power play and half of them in the death. You have Unad card. There's not a lot of variety, but
yeah.
I think that they would get the job done.
It looks a little short for me, but anyways, let's quickly move on to discussing the probable 11 for us. I think we've gone with the same players. We've gone with the five bowlers. I mean, they're the same for all three of us. Looking at Krunal Pandya, Mark Wood, Unatkad, Ravi Bishnoi, and Avesh Khan. Of course, Mohsin Khan will be missing this IPL season. So we're in consensus about the bowling unit. We're in consensus about the fact that Rahul and Quinton de Kock will be opening the batting for them. The only thing we're probably not in consensus with is the order of the middle order. We've picked the same players in Badoni, Stoinis, Huda, and Puran. Vansh and I are looking at Huda as the number three, Stoinis as the number four, Puran at five, and Badoni at six. Adi's looking at a batting lineup of Badoni at three, Huda at four, Stoinis at five, and Puran at six. I'll just quickly go to Adi. Adi, any particular reasons for this order of batters?
I mean, sorry, actually, I expect Puran to come number four, then
Okay,
Huda five, and Swan six. But yeah, I mean, when you come to the first two openers, I mean, they're solid. They look very solid last season. I don't think we can ever argue that they're going to be the main two. And I just expect Badoni. I mean, I actually think Puran's going to end up coming number three most of the time
okay,
because as I said, like I feel like it takes a bit of time to start this innings off, especially for example if KL or De Kock, like if they lose an early wicket, I just think Puran's gonna come in to take his time, play along, and try to ensure that they push those 10, 15 overs in the middle, especially. Then when you look at Hooda and Stoinis, they already have that explosiveness where they
yeah,
don't really take a lot of balls to come and start belting it. They can just go and immediately start hitting. So I expect that to be basically the finishers for LSG. So I really expect Pooran to end up coming either three or four. I mean, again with Badoni, I mean, last season also like he showed that he's also an explosive hitter. He can hit even though he looks like a small kid, he has very good power and he actually can hit. So they look pretty fluid in when it comes to three and four. I think Pooran will be shifted either ahead because he's bought for 16 crores, and I expect
yeah,
them to give him as many balls as possible for him to play and get used to these conditions. Especially with the new stadium, everyone has to get used to these conditions quickly. They don't have much time to take time to get used to the home conditions as they've never played there before. So that's also going to be a factor.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
that's basically it.
Vansh, any particular reasons for you for having Stoinis over Puran? Do you see it going the other way around?
Yeah, so I'm actually of the opinion that your best batsman should play most of the balls.
Right.
So again, I'm having Huda at three. I think Huda, he's been integrated into the Indian setup. He's been performing well for India. The 100 he got against Ireland was magnificent. So Huda is really an X factor for me. And in terms of Stoinis and Puran, I think Stoinis is just a little more mature in terms of anchoring the innings, and that's what I would want
Yeah,
Stoinis to do. He's played for Australia over the past 7 8 years, and he's played so many games for a lot of franchises all over the world. He's played a lot of T20 cricket, so I feel he's a little more mature than Puran, and that's what I want in the middle overs for my team. Uh, I would see Puran finishing off innings more. If I was playing, if I had to choose the batting order, I would put Puran at five and Stoinis at four. Just in terms of finishing abilities, I think Puran provides a whole different variety of shots in just the stroke play that he has.
yeah.
And but it's just the price tag, the 16 crores that they paid. I think the management would want Puran to justify it by being at number four, playing a large chunk of the balls. So I think LSG would play him at four, but I personally would want him to finish off the innings.
I think I pretty much agree with what Vansh just said. I think for me too, I expect Stoinis to come higher up the order in terms of, his experience, his maturity these days. He looks like that kind of guy who will anchor the innings for LSG throughout the season. Huda at three again. Puran comes in at five because I just want him to go berserk, explosive, bat, and just go for it. Honestly, um, I think that's pretty much it. With the rest of the side sorts itself out. Thanks, guys. This was the LSG preview. We're hoping that LSG have a decent enough season. We're all in consensus that they will be in contention for the top four. Adi and I feel that they probably will not make it into the top four. Vansh thinks they will. We'll wait and find out. Thanks, guys, for joining.